Hi, everybody. This is Digital Marketing Depot broadcasting live. I'm Chris McDonough. Thanks for joining us. For optimizing local SEO and user experience across multiple screens, we are very happy to welcome Bill Connard, Michael Martin, and Douglas Cohen. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Good morning or good afternoon.
Right.
Hey, everyone.
For me, I'm on the East Coast, right? But you guys are mostly on the West Coast. So anyway, thanks again for joining us. I appreciate you being here. And audience, I'm going to turn my moderating duties over to Bill in just a few seconds. But what I'd like to do is tell you all a few things. If you need some help or have a question for our speakers, just use that Ask a Question box on the left side of your console there. We'll do our best to help you out. If you want to tell a friend or check out Rio or Digital Marketing Depot or SMX, our next event coming up is in Seattle, one of my favorite places. That's in early June, and you can just push on those little buttons on the bottom, and they'll take you to all the information you're looking for. We are recording this broadcast. I will let you know when it's available for viewing on demand this afternoon. I can tell you ahead of time we've got a lot of really good content, so I'm sure you're going to want to go over it again. And I'll just tell you by email blast and let you know when it's ready. Just you can view it at your leisure 24/7 on demand. All right, let me briefly tell you who our speakers are today. Bill Connard, who is the VP of Local Search and Solutions at Rio SEO. Whoops, somebody just advanced my slides for me. Okay, let me go back to that. And then Douglas Cohen, Interactive Marketing Consultant from ADT, is with us today, and also Michael Martin, who is the SEO Manager at Cavario, is with us today. I'm not going to bother to get into their bios right now. They will tell you a little bit about themselves as we go along here. But if you care to look and learn a little bit more about them, on the left side of your console there are a complete list of their bios to let you know who they are and why we're so lucky to have them here today. All right, Bill, I'm going to go ahead and turn the reins over to you, and here is your first slide. There you go.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate the introduction. We're very excited to share some compelling information with you today here around local SEO. And what we want to share with you today will be the steps necessary to develop a mobile local SEO strategy. We're also going to share best practice local SEO for desktop, tablet, and mobile users, and we've got exciting information about that. And the importance of delivering optimized user experiences by screen size to capitalize and convert your users by device. And then last, we've got a very exciting customer on the line, ADT, who's going to share his local search results and mobile initiatives. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll start with just a summary of some of the information I wanted to share today, which will be shared. One of the main points here is that mobile is local. We know mobile is local. There's been plenty of case studies and reports, and what that means is mobile users are converting. They're converting at very high percentage rates, and they are local in nature. They're purchasing in the area where their device is with them. And so the foundation for both mobile and local search starts with optimized local landing pages. This is your foundation for your local search presence. This is where you can optimize your pages. This is where you can recognize devices. And this is where you can measure the impact of local search traffic by analyzing and measuring your search traffic and reporting on click activities by device. And we're also going to share building link equity to local landing pages, so syndicating local URLs and building link equity so that your local landing pages rank higher in the search engines. So we'll start with mobile optimized landing pages. There's always questions around responsive design versus a separate template, and that's really dependent on your current site structure, dependent on whether or not you want to deliver the same content or different content by device, and how quickly you want those pages to load. But what we do know is device recognition is imperative that you use this on all your pages, making sure that you get your consumers to the proper user experience based on their device and deliver them conversions or activities that they expect by that device. And then the last piece of that is communicating separate mobile pages to pointing a mobile canonical URL to the desktop landing page and vice versa. When you've got that optimized responsive environment, whether it's a responsive design template or separate pages, you have a quality user experience that users are expecting. So now that you've got the quality user experience in the landing pages, you want to definitely measure your local SEO for mobile. So what is happening when these mobile users come to your pages? Where are they coming from? Organic search by device. You want to definitely analyze the different mobile traffic patterns. So if you're seeing a large increase in iPad or tablet devices, making sure that you can deliver a user experience for that, as well as measuring things that are super important around activities, what your consumers are doing, driving directions, clicking to call, are they downloading the coupon or sharing that local landing page. All of those metrics will help you establish and maintain your KPIs and really deliver good ROI equations to make sure that it's paying for itself. The last piece of that is around mobile link equity. And so the key here is really to make sure you've syndicated your local landing page URLs to the major search engines, including Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and attaching that local landing page URL to your map listing so that when consumers come through directories or come through search engines, they're actually being delivered to your local landing page URL as opposed to your main home page or to a store finder where they have to navigate through the finder. And then you definitely want to distribute those local landing pages and your name, address, phone number to the major data aggregators, including InfoUSA, Newstar Localese, Axiom, and Factual, as well as niche directories and internet yellow pages like Yelp or Yext or other yellow pages. And really, I think the key takeaway there is those three bottom items. When you power your listings through these data aggregators, you're reaching that new environment or that new world, the Internet of Things. So in-car GPS devices, mobile applications, anything that may be accessing local business data can get that data from those data aggregators. And so it's very important that you power and control your listings in those data aggregators environments. So we're going to go to a poll question here, and I wanted to just get some insight on the people on the call here today, what their activity may look like around best practice user experience and local SEO. And so we'd like to find out, which of the following are you currently doing? Are you building desktop local landing pages for each one of your individual locations? Do you have mobile landing pages where those desktop pages can recognize a device and deliver you to a mobile environment where the consumers can transact? And are you measuring click activity, traffic coming to your local pages, driving directions, video views, social sharing, things like that? Have you claimed your Google, Yahoo, and Bing listings and managed all three major search engines where the majority of search traffic comes from? And then are you powering your listings and manage your listings through the data aggregators, including InfoGroup, Localese, Axiom, Factual, or none of the above? And so we'll give you just a few seconds here to respond to the poll questions, and then I think Chris will share our results.
I will do that, and I think we're ready to do that. Let me go ahead and push that out right now. There you go. Looking to me like, Bill, it's looking to me like having changed your Google, Yahoo, and Bing listings is a big hit here at 69%. Bill, you there?
So good information there. Thanks, Chris. I see desktop and local landing pages look like about 40% of the people are not yet building and managing those, and even mobile landing pages less. So definitely some interesting information there. Click activities, less than 50% are measuring that, and that could be because of the lack of local landing pages. Some of the other things I see there, info group, very little, localese and axiom about the same, and then factual or none of the above. So there's quite a bit of good information there and a lot of insight. I think the big takeaway here is that many brands have yet to take advantage of powering those data aggregators and the link equity and value that they can provide powering mobile applications and devices. So I think the next piece here is we're going to roll over and let me introduce Michael Martin to you, who's going to share some information around the best practice mobile SEO.
All right. Thank you, Bill. And just building off what Bill just said and what Rio's doing on the software side, I help lead the mobile efforts on the agency side here at Cavario. And so when we talk about best practices and mobile SEO, one of the key things is to really understand what is the lay of the land. And what's interesting is when you look at that state of mobile search as it is right now, you see the evolution or the progression of not just the internet use for mobile, which now is a quarter of all internet use in the world is done via a mobile device. And along with that, we're already at the point here in 2014 where mobile, and again, when using the term mobile, that includes smartphones predominantly, as well as tablets, feature phones, glass, whatever, Internet of Things device. So here we are, over 1 out of every 3 searches is done on a mobile device versus a desktop. So this shows the criticality of having a real mobile strategy, and the data and the eyeballs behind all this search from a myriad of devices. And so this leads into the question of, all right, great. There's mobile searches and there's searches for mobile. Why do I care? Why do I need to change anything from my desktop approach? And several years ago, we actually looked at the data when it comes to what is the actual difference. Because early on, several years ago, people were like, it's the same old. I can search, the results are the same. Yeah, I may have to present a little differently, but who cares? It's going to be, I'm going to have the same rankings. And so we looked at bucketing terms that were purely generic in the sense that there was no local intent, even when you're not saying it explicitly. So you see these 2 charts where in these generic terms of, say, like server, laptop, there's no local intent there. Over 50% of those search results had different rankings when comparing desktop results to either smartphone or feature phone results, which actually have different rankings. Now, when you look at a localized term, like, say, pizza, gas, or any kind of hospital, zoo, any kind of implicit location, even if you're not explicitly stating that city or location with it. So in the case of pizza, you're just saying pizza instead of pizza in San Diego or home security in San Diego. It's just implied that you're looking for location. And that's when we see an even greater delta as far as what those rankings were between desktop and mobile searches, where it's almost 3/4, almost 75% of a difference between what you see from desktop to mobile. So first we understand that mobile is over 33% of all search, that mobile search results are very different from what you can expect from desktop. It's now of, all right, what is that strategy? What strategy should I embrace or look at? And so here we show the evolution, using man's evolution analogous to mobile SEO, how it's evolved over the years. And maybe I'm dating myself, but if you remember in the early noughts or even the late 90s, people having .mobi sites, and for the explicit purpose of, as a signal that this is for mobile. While it's great for advertising, Google has even affirmed that has no edge when it comes to mobile search results. And that's why you rarely see the .mobis unless in an advertising campaign to really hammer in that this is about mobile. Well, and then the next part of the evolution is what people have done or sites have done is have a separate instance of, say, an M.dot or a mobile directory, a subdirectory. And so that's how they segment their mobile from desktop. And then in recent years, you've seen responsive design, because it's the same URL, but based on screen size, the CSS renders that code differently as far as what it presents visually. And Google states, as it stands right now, that it's the preferred method. And the key thing to understand there is it's Google's preferred method because it's best for them right now, not necessarily best for you. And the reason is that responsive design is relatively easy to set up. It's very scalable. And Google only has to crawl one HTML, because that one HTML, which doesn't encounter bloat, renders for any device and just leverages the screen size, which triggers the CSS to change how it's presented. So it saves Googlebot Mobile from crawling it, which it would need to do, say, for a separate mobile instance, or the next evolution of mobile strategy being dynamic serving or adaptive design. And even lately, the misnomer of responsive web 2.0. And what dynamic serving is under the same URL, just like responsive design, which is great for link equity, you actually have separate HTML based on device type. So no longer with responsive, where it's just screen size, you can take your browser and just change that size, and it'll change the visuals. Dynamic serving goes by device type, which is how Google crawls and identifies your device by that user agent. And so there, you're actually getting explicit pages directly toward a user's intent instead of just screen size or just viewing area. And so what that helps you is, both from a business standpoint, you're really focusing in on that intent, and for SEO, you're actually able, with a different HTML, to actually really hone in on that mobile terminology, whereby in responsive, it's one and done. You're kind of a shotgunning it, and all your optimization needs to apply to every single device. While with dynamic serving, you have explicit HTML, title tags, meta, content, everything, based on that device and singularly for devices. And which also helps you because it reduces your code bloat. That one HTML only has to apply to that one device versus one HTML applying for every single device, regardless of what it is. So getting into more tactical from the high-level strategy view is understanding, when it comes to this evolution, that strategies, as far as what you take, depends on your needs, depends on your resources, and what's best for you. And so, which is why Google supports all those methodologies, and why, based on your strategic vision, what is best for you from a mobile search perspective, what you can apply. So if you are implementing a separate mobile site, being an M.dot or / mobile directory, whatever term you want to discern it, with that, you're actually, again, having separate HTML, so you can actually directly optimize for mobile searches in that instance, in that HTML within the instance. So by having that explicit title tag, meta, and content information. Now, for Google's clarity, is having coding on that mobile instance and desktop instance, collaborating or affirming that, hey, this is my mobile guy and this is my desktop guy. And how you do that is within the head code, having from the desktop version a rel alternate saying, hey, this is my mobile guy over here, whatever the URL address is. And that could be actually segmented to the smartphone version and the feature phone version, because those are the crawlers that Google currently has under Googlebot. Currently, there's not a separate tablet crawler, but that may be coming in short time. But as of yet, that is not the case. So conversely, from those mobile pages, you would have a rel canonical back to the desktop, basically saying, hey, I'm the mobile version of this guy. Basically, affirming that signal that this is the mobile instance of that desktop. Now, responsive web design, or RWD, again, you are having all that HTML under that same URL for every single device type based on screen size. And so it's very difficult to have explicit mobile SEO because it's all squeezed in that one HTML. So what you kind of do is just implement some of that mobile terminology by device within that same HTML. Again, you only have one title tag, one meta. So it's really trying to appease everything within one. And again, when you have all that code in, that's why responsive web is relatively slow in comparison, because you have all that code variation there. So the key thing with mobile in general, and then especially with responsive, is to reduce load time as opposed to purely desktop. It's not about the page size, but about round times. How many times you're going back to the server through cell towers and such. So really minimizing that is a key point to reducing load time. How Google figures out your load time is not through its crawlers, but through Chrome data of mobile users, and that's on average. That's how it determines how quickly your site loads. Then we get into dynamic serving, or again adaptive design, and really is a misnomer calling it responsive web 2.0. But what that is again is that under that same URL having different HTML based on device type. So there again, you have that explicit optimization. You can actually implement true mobile SEO for each of those device types singularly to again what's important. You can have an explicit title and optimization toward tablet once the Google crawler starts indexing that. But even in the interim, you are directly addressing your user's intent, your tablet user's intent, versus just affixing to their screen size. And so the key thing that even Google states is to really understand, so it signals to its crawler, to its mobile crawler, to incorporate that code, is leveraging on the server side the vary HTTP header. That's the flag to Googlebot to recrawl that URL under its mobile version to index that mobile instance. So again, responsive design, again, it's great for Google because they don't need to bother going through Googlebot mobile or mobile version because it's a one and done. They crawl it once and they're like, this applies to everything. Cool. Again, dynamic serving, separate site. You have separate instances. That's when Googlebot mobile for smartphone, feature phone, and potentially tablet is going to recrawl to get that explicit difference. So then what's also interesting and what's going to be touched upon by Miley Oye in the panel of Miley Oye from Google in the advanced mobile SEO panel at SMX Advanced in Seattle in June is the next evolution of mobile SEO in a sense. Is now that Google is able in a beta program to index apps. So with this app indexing, it's having that, just like with mobile instances of your website to your desktop, having that understanding of what correlates to what. Google now is doing that with apps, correlating that to your mobile website. So the reading the tea leaves is not that this will just help your mobile search results, but this is also Google's way with its Android apps to further app search, which we all know is pretty bad regardless of the app, as far as Apple's App Store or Google Play even, or Amazon's App Store. This is really the harbinger of better optimization and search results within the respective app stores. And so going to the poll question, just again as we go through high level understanding of mobile strategy, and again we get into more advanced mobile SEO at SMX Advanced this June, is what is your mobile strategy evolution in this poll question? And so we see the myriad of choices of, hey, I don't have one. and potentially I don't care, we'll just use an app instead of a mobile website, adding a separate mobile instance, being an m.dot or /m/mobile, whatever, to our desktop version, applying responsive web design to our desktop version, or applying dynamic serving to our desktop version, and going down to the bottom, or going from, and what we're seeing a lot of sites doing now is going from responsive design to dynamic serving. And what we really see as the best of all mobile worlds is mostly responsive design for scale, where pages are, the intent doesn't really vary when it comes to a smartphone, a feature phone, tablet, glass, microwave oven, washer, dryer, car, whatever Internet of Things device. But then leveraging dynamic serving when that intent does change for select pages or hub pages as a best use of resources and attention, since you do have to have separate HTML. So those are the questions in the poll, and I don't know if we have any results.
We do. Hang on, Michael. It looks like most of us are applying responsive design to our desktop version at this point. That's their strategy for evolution there. Over 50% of the audience said that.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the general trend as it is right now. And it is good, again, from a scale sense and relative ease of doing it. And it's just interesting that even an article just the other month of newspapers early on went to responsive design. And because your intent, if you're reading a news article on your phone or desktop, it's like I'm looking for news. It doesn't really change. It's just different presentation styles. But what's interesting is that these news services and if you look at, say, like CNN, they're going more to dynamic serving approach for specific pages because of better intent or more direct intent of the mobile user. And they're the ones that are starting to call it responsive design 2.0. And even Forrester had results of saying 52% of businesses, I believe 52%, over 50% of businesses are realizing now that responsive design is really a stopgap and not a long-term solution. So that is where we are in the mobile evolution or strategy evolution, and it may be the end all for a lot of businesses and websites. But when you really see that variance in intent as different devices, I'd say Apple's iWatch, people start using their watches more, glasses, and the internet on the microwave oven or whatever, that these different devices have different intents, that dynamic serving, at least for select pages, would be that evolution that others may embrace in the near term.
Great. Thanks, Michael. That was some great insight around mobile and SEO. And I think the big takeaway there is that all of, whether it is responsive or whether it is dedicated, that you must have that local landing page to apply your tactics to it. So some great information there. Next, we have Douglas from ADT, who's going to share some insight around desktop and mobile user experience. Douglas, take it away.
Thanks, Bill. Well, first, just a little bit about my background. Previously, I was Director of Marketing and Product Development at Sección Amarilla, who is a leading Spanish Yellow Pages company in the U.S., which is owned by América Móvil, who's the directory publisher and telco powerhouse out of Mexico. Here at ADT, I oversee various lead generation channels such as pay-per-call, affiliate networks, email acquisition, and amongst my many responsibilities, this also includes leading our local marketing strategy, which encompasses organic local listings, paid IYP media, Google Places, also known as Google+, and ADT's regionally focused web pages. We're going to touch upon some of this strategy, but first, let's take a look at best practices that differentiate a successful desktop page from an effective mobile page. So for those of you who've worked with landing pages for e-commerce or lead generation, you know that in those cases, the user experience is not necessarily robust. When you're trying to push for conversion, the navigation and page features should usually be limited. But local search is a different case. Users who are looking for businesses in their area require more than just a cut-and-dry conversion-centric design. Many local businesses have become savvy on the web. So on desktop, you'll want to present your firm's own digital prowess with an engaging page containing interactive elements, a Twitter stream, as well as social sharing buttons, a customer reviews feed. Plus, you want to frequently update your promotions and your coupons. And of paramount importance is a dynamic large map that the user can use to find your business and get directions. Notice in this example in the slide, the map takes up about a quarter of the page. It's a dominant element that draws the user's eye also to the lead form to its right. Also notice the expandable text that's right below the map. This is where your SEO team or agency would optimize the page to rank for its intended keywords. So that's a desktop page. It's focused to drive interaction with your business, but it does still have quite a few elements going on to represent what you do to your local audience. Next, we have an example of a mobile page. Now, mobile users, they want a simple experience. Mobile and tablet customers, they don't want to be overwhelmed with content. You want to provide your most relevant information in a slimmed-down format, such as a bullet point list. Your call to actions, they really need to be very focused on the mobile screen. They should also be extremely easy to execute, preferably just one or a couple of clicks to trigger a phone call, an app download, or load directions to your store from the user's location. If you have to use a lead form, if that's what's going to be most important for driving new prospects to your business, you'll want to use as few fields as possible. I'd say best practice on a mobile screen is no more than 4 fields on a mobile page. And keep in mind, you can always request more data about the user once you have their email address and you're ready to start a dialogue with them. Since we're discussing local mobile pages, you still want to have the map on that page. But unlike the desktop version, be careful in your mobile design so that the map size doesn't dominate the entire page. You can see in this example, we have the map, we have our location pinpointed, but unlike on the desktop where it's taking about a quarter of the page, this is really just like another feature within the entire mobile layout. So, ADT's, it's a well-known brand, and we approach most of our marketing activity with a national perspective. However, home security and home automation service happens to be one that consumers search for locally. Some are specifically looking for one of the industry leaders. Others are searching for service companies in their area. So that's why it was critical for us to boil down our broad operation to the local essentials. I'm going to now go over some of the tactics and particularly discuss the mobile pages that are producing results for ADT from local search. First, you don't want to approach your design and development project based on assumptions. If you're building out a mobile site or app, chances are you already have a desktop site. Look at your analytics from Google, Omniture, Web Trends, or whichever platform you've integrated. You'll be able to identify which types of devices your users own and use to access your site. Apple and Android users tend to be very different segmentations of the population. Looking at our metrics, I found ADT's mobile consumption skewed heavy towards Apple users on both the iPhone as well as the iPad. This makes sense because we know ADT customers are homeowners. Typically, they have disposable income and can afford the more expensive Apple products. Also, we know tablet usage tends to occur in the home, hence our over-indexing of visits from the iPad. However, if you're offering more of a mass market service or you're catering to a younger audience, your audience might skew heavier towards Android devices. Android's picked up a considerable amount of market share over the past 2 years. Worldwide, there's actually more Android phones in circulation than iPhones. In the United States, it's about neck and neck. Now, there's tools out there to optimize your responsive design so that your page renders correctly on most devices, but none of these tools are perfect. You'll want to work with your development team and agency to optimize on the devices that are most used by your audience. It's simply impossible to test for every mobile phone or tablet model that's out there. Mobile models, device models, and browser types are much more fragmented on desktop, so make sure you look at your analytics and plan your priorities based on the data. ADT's marketing is very phone call centric. We drive leads to a national sales center before those leads are then passed on to our local sales teams. I want a local media, and particularly my pages on smartphone, to drive phone calls. That's really our main call to action. You'll notice there's only one photo on this page, right at the top. This keeps the page in line with our brand, but keeps it from having too many elements and images that would then slow the mobile page's load time. Preferably, you'll want to employ a photo that's been proven through split testing on desktop. We also have multiple click-to-call links on the page. So as the user scrolls from top to bottom, the main call now triggers are always present, and we can capture the phone call or the conversion regardless of where they're navigating on the page. Finally, for users in consideration mode, they might want more information than just the phone call to dial us. So at the bottom, we have collapsible menus that can be opened and closed without overwhelming users with too much content as they arrive on the page. The horizontal design is a critical piece of responsive design functionality because those horizontal content triggers, they expand and contract according to the screen's width. So this page that you're looking at now actually drives traffic into our national operation. But local customers wouldn't be able to tell that. You have the map pinpointing the ADT office location they searched for. Also, the phone number is localized. We masked our national tracking numbers with local area codes. In this case, the 858 area code is local to the San Diego area that this particular office serves. Also, having your NAP or your name, address, phone number is essential. Google can read NAP format and knows how to identify it as local information. Once indexed, your name, address, and phone number, this helps you rank on page 1 for when someone searches for your business name or category within that corresponding area. Now, on mobile, by providing a number, you're giving users the option to store your business into their contacts. With the address on the map, also a user can save the location pinpoint to their Google account. This is particularly true on Android, as every Android device recognizes the user's Gmail account. So once saved, your location will reappear on their maps when they go back to a desktop machine or on any device where they log on. Now, on the earlier desktop example, we saw text right below the map, right? That was where, according to standard SEO practice, we'd write copy with certain keywords and keyword density in mind. However, on a mobile screen, you lose that real estate. But just because a customer is viewing you on a mobile screen doesn't mean they wouldn't want to learn more about your business and your service. This is where mobile video can become very effective. If you have video content available, your local mobile page is a great place to put it to work. If you don't have a lot of mobile content, not to worry. One video is really all you need for mobile. On our desktop page, we have a carousel from ADT's YouTube channel that provides different video options, but on our mobile page, we're only providing one relevant piece. Now, how you embed the video is very important. If you send a user from your page to YouTube, you've lost them. If your video is open on the phone's native player, well, now you'll have taken the user off the browser where they found you. So the solution we went with was accomplished with a talented developer from Rio named Aaron Taylor and ADT's design guru, Todd Adele. What we did was embed a player right in our mobile page. So when the users finish consuming the video content, the Call Now buttons are still right at their fingertips, and they can contact us to set up an appointment or purchase ADT service. And now for our final poll question, I'll turn it back to Bill.
Thank you, Douglas. That was some great information that you shared with us today. We really appreciate that. Let's jump into the poll question here. What action do you aim for your customers to take on your mobile page? Is it find and visit your place of business? Is it call us, fill out a short form or a lead form, download an app such as a reward or a loyalty card, link or share off to social media, opt in to email notifications, newsletters, or download a coupon. So quite a few options there. Check the ones that would apply. And then we will go to Chris and have her share the results.
Right. I want to give them all just like a couple more minutes. And I also, while we're waiting for the rest of the results to come in here, also want to let everybody know to stick around because we've got all three of our panelists here that are going to stick around for Q&A. And I know I've already got at least 15 questions in the queue here, so we've got some good questions, but feel free to submit them now, and we will try to get to as many as we possibly can live. Okay, good. I do have the results, and it's again, it's overwhelming. We've had some consistent results here. That one of them is nearly 50% every time we push it out, and this one is call us. What do you think, Bill? What you expected?
Wow, yeah, that's 50% of users you're wanting them to call the business. So hoping there's some good people answering the phones on the other line. Great, Chris. Well, we appreciate the answers to the poll, and I think we want to jump into some questions. So I think, Chris, you'll be able to serve them up and let us know who the question might be for.
Yep, and here it is. I'll push out the first question for you, Bill. Do you want to read it or you want me to read it for you? Is it too little?
You can go, yeah.
I got my glasses on.
I'll go ahead and, I'll read this one, and then
right.
I actually could take this one because I kind of handled the Google Places piece. The question is, will the bulk upload facility in Google Places continue to exist even as users are migrated to the new Google dashboard? Of course, that tool will remain, or we expect it to remain. I cannot speak on Google's behalf, but that tool is integral to managing hundreds or even thousands of local business listings through the Google Places dashboard. But I also expect that at some point Google will expose API capabilities so that they can collect even more enhanced and robust information like coupons or updates to the store, even weather updates and things like that. And the Rio SEO platform is poised for both API or bulk upload connections. So we're ready for it. We're just waiting for Google to release that API, and we expect that within at least a few years they'll have that dialed in. Chris, what's our next question?
All right, here is another one for you. There you go.
Douglas, maybe you could answer this one. Why is it better to send Google Store results to local store page instead of the main website?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. But it is really important that if your business has local storefronts and you're trying to capture users within a specific geographic area, that you're able to present them with content that's localized. Now, localizing your content doesn't have to be a huge project. The most critical elements, as we saw earlier, was including your NAP, your name, address, and phone number, so that they see that you're located close to them. Having a map with the pinpoint of where you're exactly at so they can get directions, also important. And then really just a paragraph or two about content and about what your company does in the area, if you do any charitable work, or if you have a service that's somehow impacted your local community. Those are the bare essentials of what you would want for your local store page. You see, if you only use your main website and you have your generic or national content, then you're not going to rank when users are searching for your business or your service plus a zip code. That's what we call geo-modified search. And, you know, not only is that starting to become more common on desktop, as we saw from some of Michael's stats before, localized search that's really what's happening on mobile. Even when users don't enter a state, city, or zip code in their search field, since mobile carriers and Google can identify your location, should you give it their permission, search results are starting to become skewed towards a user's location. So if you're not putting local content on your pages, you're going to miss out on that local search opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Douglas. And I think another key point there is many users are looking for address, phone number, and operating hours. And if you don't deliver them that on the first click, then they may just hit the back button and gather that information from the SERP itself, where it is out of your brand's control. Chris, let's jump to the next question.
All right. Here we go.
All right. Can Google search bots navigate through collapsible menus as the ones that ADT uses on its mobile landing page? I think, Michael, that would be a good one for you.
Yeah, I mean, you can speak directly to Rio's implementation, but all that generally the accordion or the collapsible menus are in fact crawlable. Even generally using CSS for stylization, but in general, yes, they are. And then, Bill, if you want to speak to the Rio implementation, how you want to converse that.
Sure. I couldn't tell you about the actual ADT's version of their site, but in summary, yes, Google can crawl the collapsible menus.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in with one. I'm going to jump in one last point on this question, just to kind of boil it down out of technical terms, kind of like layman terms. When Google's crawling your site, it's not actually really looking at your site like how we look at it. It's looking at your code. It's looking at your HTML code. So those collapsible menus are actually coded into the page, and the content that's within them would be within your HTML code. So it's not going to be hidden from the Google spider like it's going to be hidden from a user's eye. It's all right within the code, and Google, that's what Google's index machine is reading.
Perfect. Thanks, Douglas. I appreciate that insight. Chris, we'll take another question.
Okie doke. I am ready for you. Well, I was ready for you. I just popped out for some reason. I've popped out for some reason, so I'm going to have to refresh. If you guys want to, sorry about that.
Yeah, I can jump in.
Chris, we'll jump into the next question here, and maybe Michael can serve one up.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the questions, and I think this may cover a few of them, where there are questions on what exactly is this dynamic serving thing, and is it implementable now? And the answer to the latter is that yes, it is implementable now, and several sites are already using it. Like I said, CNN in particular has been using it for a while. And as far as, all right, what is it? You can even see it touched upon or described in Google's smartphone help section, where they talk about dynamic serving and what it is, basically what it is, and then how to implement it best for its crawlers. Another note too with dynamic serving, where it really comes into play over, say, a responsive design implementation is the demographics. Now, here in the U.S., when it comes to mobile, it's predominantly smartphone. But if you're looking at, say, a country like India, where we talked about worldwide internet use is over a quarter. In India, it's over 50%. And when it comes to search on mobile devices is well over 50%. And when you really peel back that onion and look at, all right, what are the mobile devices being used? Because of the relatively low mobile data speeds, it is predominantly feature phones. And what's interesting there when it comes to feature phones is even Google explicitly states that responsive design falls apart when it comes to feature phones. And that's why, again, dynamic serving is a more advanced way, especially for if your target is say feature phone users, to lean toward that strategy. And so it's always understanding what your demographic is, understanding what that intent is when it comes to a matter of what your mobile strategy is, and that's why responsive design could be fine when that intent is all basically the same and the keyword usage is basically the same. Then that could apply very well on scale. But when that intent varies and when, say, you have a appreciable feature phone market, the responsive design strategy falls apart. And so dynamic serving is something that is implemented now and has been for some time, and is described within Google's smartphone webmaster help.
Great, thanks, Michael. I think this next one here can be for Douglas. Do you recommend a separate local landing page for each individual store, even if you have over 1,000 locations? Is each location offering a distinct product, or what's beneficial about that?
Right. Okay. Thanks, Bill. I'd say, if you want each location to rank within its corresponding geographic area, then you want to put in the time to build out a page for each one. But there's technologies out there that can facilitate that process, and you can go to market with it using duplicate content on different pages. Building out 1,000 pages, that can be a big project. I can recognize that. But you can use the same images and similar content and just swap out some key copy points, particularly the zip code and the name of the city. But if you don't build out a page for a particular location, then when someone searches for your business in that location, chances are they're not going to find you.
Great. Yeah, great point there. Chris, it sounds like you are back, and we can jump to another question.
I am back. Let's see. How about this one? Would these landing pages be URLs that go ahead, you can read it if you'd like. Sorry, I don't need to read it for you.
No problem. Would these landing pages be URLs that have properties point to or have a web experience manager identify when a user is coming from and direct them to the local landing page? And I'll answer this one. We recommend that you inject this local landing page into all of your business listings, into all your directories, all of your map listings, anywhere where your business resides in a digital environment. We recommend injecting that local landing page URL into that listing. You're going to drive hundreds and hundreds of relevant backlinks back to the page, as well as, giving the user the experience that they're expecting to find your local content. So we definitely recommend including that URL in all your properties. All right, Chris, I think we have time for one or two more questions.
We do, and I'm just trying to grab one that covers as many of the other ones. How about this one? Let's try this. They just want a little more information. How about that?
Perfect. Thank you so much. So are you going to explain how exactly to claim search engine listings and how to send information to info group, localese, and Axiom, and et cetera? Absolutely. This process of managing and claiming your listings can be done in bulk when you have multiple locations, usually 10 or more or 20 or more locations, can be fed through either bulk spreadsheets or through APIs into the data aggregators. And each one of those data aggregators has access to either bulk load or upload to an API. What we always recommend is a single content management system, something that allows you to store and manage all of your local business data in one environment, and then spit that information out in the proper format and relevancy for that particular aggregator or search engine. And that is what our software does, is it automates this process, allowing thousands of locations to be managed with a few clicks of a button, as well as claiming and optimizing those processes. How you actually do that is you will have to establish a relationship with these data aggregators, info group, localese, Axiom, Yext, Yelp, Factual, any of those aggregators that you may want to syndicate your data to. You would establish a relationship with them that allows you to then manage your feeds through either a bulk or API process. So I think we have time for one more question.
That's what I was thinking. Here's one more for you. There you go.
Sure. And
Michael, that looks like a good question for you.
Is that one coming to me?
I think, Michael, that would be a good question for you.
I agree. So the question on the screen is a concern with duplication when it comes to dynamic serving, and this is addressed actually in Google's starter SEO guide, and they have like an image where showing that even under the same URL, if you are presenting something entirely different based on device, that Google is fine with that as long as it's consistent by device type. And so that's a key thing with dynamic serving, is that you're presenting different HTML based on device type. And how Google affirms that, and that's why it's stated as well, and Matt Cutts even did a video on it, of if you're implementing dynamic serving, having in your server header the vary HTTP, so that way that's the signal to Google to say, hey, if Googlebot standard crawls it, that hey, come back here under the Googlebot mobile variations and recrawl it because there's something a little different here. And again, Google is fine with that as long as it's consistently different for those particular devices. If it's consistently the same for all smartphones, consistently the same for all feature phones, consistently the same for all desktop, even if they're different from each other. So that is completely within Google's guidelines, and again, explicitly stated even under Google's SEO starter guide. And they have a nice little image illustrating that.
Great. I think we will wrap it up, Chris. I'll hand it back to you.
That'd be great. Thank you all for really great presentation and good content. Again, everybody on the call here, this is going to be available on demand shortly. I'll let you know by an email blast as soon as it's ready to go, or just check back at our website. We've got 3 more webcasts coming up in the next 2 weeks, so that's a good opportunity to check those out as well and sign up for those when you get a chance. We do thank Rio SEO for sponsoring our webcast today. Thank you again for the speakers and really good questions. I'm going to get all those questions over to Rio, and they can answer them back to you by email or just directly to you, so that'd be great. That is all the time we have for our broadcast today. We look forward to seeing you here next time right here at Digital Marketing Depot.